In 1436, two young boys were taken hostage by the Ottoman Empire. They were brothers, Vlad and Radu, sons of the Wallachian prince. For 6 years, they lived as prisoners in the Sultan's court. They were educated together, trained together, and survived together. But when they were finally free, one brother returned home to become a legend of terror. The other stayed behind and became his greatest enemy. This is the story of the betrayal that shaped Vlad the Impaler. Vlad was 11 years old when he and his younger brother Radu were handed over to Sultan Mehmed II. Their father, Vlad Dracula, made a deal with the Ottomans to secure his throne in Wallachia. The price was his two youngest sons. They would live in Adrianople, the Ottoman capital, as insurance that their father would remain loyal. It was not a comfortable captivity. The boys were isolated, watched constantly, and reminded daily that they were prisoners. They were given a strict Islamic education. They learned Turkish, Persian, and Arabic. They were trained in Ottoman military tactics. But they were also psychologically broken down. The goal was to make them loyal to the Sultan, not to their Christian homeland. Vlad resisted. He was stubborn, defiant, and frequently punished. Historical records suggest he was beaten and possibly tortured during his captivity. He refused to convert to Islam. He refused to embrace Ottoman culture. Every act of rebellion hardened him. He learned that power came from fear, that mercy was weakness, and that survival meant becoming more terrifying than your captors. Radu took a different path. He was younger, more adaptable. He learned to charm his captors. He converted to Islam. He became fluent in Turkish and adopted Ottoman customs. And he became close with Mehmed, the Sultan's son, who was only a few years older than him. Historical sources suggest that Mehmed and Radu's relationship was more than friendship. Byzantine and Ottoman chroniclers refer to Radu as Mehmed's favorite companion. Some historians interpret this as a romantic relationship. Whether it was love, friendship, or political alliance, the bond was deep. Radu became known as Radu the Handsome, celebrated for his beauty and charm in the Ottoman court. When the brothers were finally released in 1448, Vlad was 17. He returned to Wallachia to find his father and older brother murdered by rival nobles and Hungarian forces. Vlad was alone, with no army, no allies, and enemies on every side. He spent the next few years in exile, plotting his return. Radu stayed in the Ottoman Empire. He remained with Mehmed, who had now become Sultan Mehmed II, one of the most powerful rulers in the world. Radu had chosen his side. He was no longer Wallachian. He was Ottoman. In 1456, Vlad finally reclaimed the throne of Wallachia. He did it through a brutal campaign of assassinations, impalements, and political maneuvering. Once in power, he turned his attention to the Ottomans. He stopped paying tribute to the Sultan. He killed Ottoman envoys. He raided Ottoman territories and impaled Turkish soldiers by the thousands. This was personal. Vlad was not just defending his kingdom. He was taking revenge on the empire that had imprisoned him, on the Sultan who had broken him, and on the brother who had abandoned him. In 1462, Sultan Mehmed II had enough. He assembled a massive army. Estimates range from 60,000 to over 100,000 soldiers. Wallachia had maybe 30,000 troops at best. Vlad was vastly outnumbered. And leading part of Mehmed's invasion force was Radu. Mehmed gave Radu command of the cavalry units. The message was clear. Radu would help destroy his own brother. Some historians believe Mehmed chose Radu specifically to demoralize Vlad. Others think Radu volunteered, hoping to replace Vlad as the Ottoman-backed ruler of Wallachia. Vlad knew he couldn't win a direct battle, so he used psychological warfare. As Mehmed's army marched toward the Wallachian capital, they encountered what became known as the Forest of the Impaled. 20,000 corpses, Ottoman soldiers, prisoners of war, and captured civilians, impaled on stakes lining the road for miles. The bodies had been left to rot in the sun. The smell was unbearable. Birds picked at the remains. It was a vision of hell. Ottoman chroniclers wrote that when Mehmed saw the forest, he was shaken. He reportedly said, "What can you do against a man like this?" The psychological impact was devastating. Soldiers deserted. Morale collapsed. Mehmed realized he was not fighting a normal enemy. He was fighting someone willing to turn war into horror. But Mehmed did not retreat. He continued the invasion, though more cautiously. Vlad used guerrilla tactics, night raids, poisoned wells, scorched earth. He burned his own villages to deny the Ottomans food and shelter. He dressed his soldiers in Ottoman uniforms and infiltrated their camps to spread confusion and panic. Despite these efforts, Vlad was eventually forced to retreat. The Ottoman army was too large. And Radu's knowledge of Vlad's tactics gave Mehmed an advantage. Radu knew how his brother thought, how he fought, and how to counter him. In 1462, Vlad was forced to flee to Hungary, where he was imprisoned by his supposed ally, the Hungarian king. Radu was installed as the new ruler of Wallachia, backed by Ottoman power. The brother who had once been a hostage with Vlad was now sitting on his throne. Vlad would eventually return to power in 1476, but only for 2 months before he was killed in battle. Radu died the same year, possibly from syphilis. The two brothers, who had survived captivity together as children, died within months of each other, on opposite sides of a war neither of them truly won. The betrayal of Radu shaped Vlad into the monster history remembers. The boy who refused to submit became the man who made submission irrelevant through terror. And the brother who chose the Sultan over his blood became a footnote in the legend of Dracula.